We are
Didi
and Arma, and in our daily lives we support people on the path of self-liberation. We teach time-tested energy skills like Qigong, Tai Chi, internal alchemy, traditional nutrition and meditation.
We help people release stagnation, build energy, and become aligned with themselves and their purpose in life.
In this podcast we share the methods, skills and solutions that helped us, our students and now hopefully you move forward.
Let's explore transformation together.
So, today we're talking about...
Meditation shortcut number 1. Yeah.
Well, we're not going to give it away immediately, right?
No, we're gonna wait a little bit. We're gonna
build up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good to talk a little bit about how we approach meditation and learn it and move from there, right? So I think the training is threefold. The first part of meditation is really becoming mindfulness training, which means that you have to learn to observe from a distance without touching. And either that's something in your mind, a thought, or it's an emotion, it's something you see, it's something you feel, something you smell. We want to learn how to create a distance, because if you don't have this distance, you're already reacting to it and starting a creation process, which, pulls you into a small space, and that's not what you want. So we're developing a skill called mindfulness, right? That's the first one. Yeah. The second one is the skill of concentration. Concentration. So concentrated mind is a strong mind. It's about decision making. It's about being here now, and being concentrated. So that's the second part, you could say, of the training. And then all the stillness that accumulates around this training, it's a result of it, becomes more of a normal state for you, right? So going directly into stillness is a very important skill. It's like, can I shut off my thinking? Can I be present here and now? Is sort of the aim of the practice, right? Which means you get a more expanded mind and you're more here present. And so that's sort of the three main parts of the process.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this in another podcast with the meditation misconceptions.
Yeah.
Because I didn't hear you say relaxation.
Well, relaxation is a byproduct, right? So, and although I see a lot of people meditate aiming for relax or put on music or things like that, which is fine. I mean, a relaxed person is a relaxed person. Where I come from and where we're coming from is more of building skills that are not only for this moment that you're meditating, but actually are skills that are coming into your daily life, right? Yeah. Because that's where it counts, right? Someone says something, you're not directly reacting to it. You're more like, okay, and then you have a choice, right? Which is... Yeah. Stress really is the reactivity to a thing that's happening, right? So I'm not really into the guided meditation and sitting and that, although there can be good ones, I don't want to put that down in any way. It's not for me.
Yeah, we have another aim with the meditation.
Exactly, it's building skill.
Yeah, and
transforming.
Yeah,
right?
I just wanted to make that clear. So first it's observing the mind. And creating that space in between.
Yeah, it's like okay, like something happens. You something happens. You see something, whatever, and then a thought comes, and an emotion comes, and before you know it, it's like, oh, but why? And blah blah. There's this internal conversation starting, and this frequency of thinking, feeling becomes like its own story, and and before you know, you're acting on that story or whatever. So we have to learn how to step back.
Yeah. And we all. I can. I know this pattern in myself that I cling to things and. You're sitting, meditating, and the next thing you're thinking about the grocery shopping, or
right.
or what you have to do next, or
Yeah, and from that comes this great. And then at a certain point, you're waking up, it's like, okay, I went down that rabbit hole, and now, okay, go back to observing, not touching. And that's, it's also part of the training, of course, right? So, but to bring it back to our shortcut, I think, what do we need for this sort of training?
Yeah.
We need energy. That's obvious, right? Everyone knows it. If you haven't eaten well, whatever, you have low energy, it's very hard to concentrate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard.
Absolutely.
So what happens, like the mind contracts, and it's so much easier to go down all these rabbit holes inside yourself. So we need energy for being mindful. We need energy for being concentrated, and we need energy for being still. Yeah. We need energy for being able to sit still, right? To be physically open, we need energy.
A strong body.
A strong body, right? A strong fascia and all these things we've been talking about already, right?
Yeah.
So it comes back to energy.
Yeah.
So what's the fuel? Well, of course, that brings us back to
shortcut number 1,
which is our diet, right?
Yeah.
Our food.
Yeah, and I think it's two things. It's the food that we eat and our habits around the food that we eat.
Exactly. So that's twofold, right?
Yeah.
And from our own experience, and I can say this for sure, is that when I started meditating, my diet was not right at all. It was just not right.
No,
it was in such an extreme.
Yeah, I think we ate mainly the food that we ate at home.
Exactly. So there were. We didn't really think about that stuff yet, right? So, but at a certain point, I was like, why is because it wasn't that my energy was low all the time, because I was training as well. But sometimes you felt like, wow, it's so easy today to be quiet and being mindful. And then a day later, it would be like, what happened? It all changed. Yeah. So that gave me, while I was training, more of an insight to what am I eating? Is there a relation in there?
Connection.
A connection.
To what does the food do to my emotional state, or also on all states, like physical.
Exactly.
Chi. Yeah. Does it give me energy? Does it take away the energy of me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it counts for everything in your life, but it's so when you're meditating, it's so obvious. You're focusing on yourself, and you're observing your mind, your body. If you cannot sit still, so. Everything is under a...
Yeah, you put it under a microscope, really, right? It's like, okay, you're zooming in on yourself in the purest way, right? Yeah. Because normally, if you don't meditate, it's just, right? If you start meditating, it's like, okay, concentrate.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa, there's so much pulling to this thought or whatever. And you're like, whoa, this is so hard. Yeah. But on certain days, it wasn't that hard. It was like, oh, now it's working. Yeah. So back to this connection, started experimenting. It's like, okay, what am I actually eating, right? And does this have influence? Yeah. Well, I was a sugar addict for sure. So that was the first thing that had to go.
Yeah.
It just had to go.
And that was one of the... I think that was one. Sugar, and... You were really of candy and stuff, but that was not so hard to take that out of our diet. But then going into the supermarket, and at that time we were shopping at a regular supermarket. Nowadays we go more to a organic shop, so we buy more stuff there. But when we were going to the supermarket and really focusing on the labels, I was shocked at how much products have sugar in them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it's something you really have to be mindful of, that there is a lot of sugar in products that you would not expect them to be. It's kind of, you think, oh, I won't take candy anymore, or cakes and stuff, but that's not enough if you really want to follow that path.
If you start observing, right, and you know that's what you're better at. If you start meditating and you observe it from a distance and you zoom out a little bit, you can see this mass addiction around you with sugar, right? And you see the results of that. There's no focus, there's tiredness, there's small contracted minds, there's reactivity all over the place. Just open the paper and you see the result of a lot of sugar, right? Yeah. And it's not the only reason, of course. It's a little bit short through the through the corner, but as we say in Holland. But I think there's such an intense connection there.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and it's something. If you dive a little bit deeper into sugar, which is interesting, because it's the sweet taste. It's a very sweet taste, and the mother milk is sweet. We're raised into the sweet taste, that it's comforting.
Exactly.
And so if we want to comfort ourselves, and it's also the taste of nurturing your body.
Is that about the connection with the mother's milk?
Yeah,
that has this sweet taste?
The sweet taste, or, well, that's what is said, that we're raised. It's also the taste that nurtures us. It's comforting. It belongs to the earth element, which is for digestion. So in our food, the sweet taste should be one of the key tastes in our food, but then it's about all the sweet potato, pumpkin, that kind of stuff, and not candy or real refined sugar.
Yeah.
That's not what our bodies are looking for.
No.
But we're still experiencing this taste.
Yeah.
As being comforting. So that's why we're so addicted to this taste. And sugar does that. It makes you addicted to it. But it's very or how do you say it? Lifting? It's very, it gives you a lot of space if you take that away out of your diet.
Oh, totally. And it was surprisingly easy for me to stop, really, because I think what you're saying is true. I mean, you eat that and it's like this comforting thing, and then
for a short time.
But it's such a short time, right?
Yeah.
So after that is like this dip in your energy, and you need some more, and then that's the addiction that starts to happen, right?
Yeah.
But it gives you exactly the opposite of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I realized that, right, through experience.
Yeah.
So that's a thing for you as well, I guess, is the experience thing. But we'll talk about that in a short while.
And you get all these shifts in your energy.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It goes from high to low. And I said I was training, so I was doing some things right already, right? Yeah. I mean, it was, I was taking myself out of the busy monkey mind thing and just... And that gave energy, but the differences were so extreme between days.
And that's why we're talking about the shortcut, because you were already training at that time, and I think I was doing yoga at the time as well, and I wasn't as addicted to sugar as you were, but we were still eating a lot of sugar.
Yeah, and since you're living together, I mean, you share habits and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so, also for me, it just made a really big shift.
Well, the great thing is that we did it together, right? We started together, and I think that's also a thing that really helps if you can team up. It doesn't mean that everything that you eat is good for me, or it's still.
Absolutely.
But some things you can take out of the equation, and that definitely helps. And sugar was the big one, I think. Yeah. And that it helped so much. So much. It was so much easier to reach this point of not touching, observing, not touching. Yeah. It seems that sugar does exactly the opposite. I also felt that it gave me more a tendency to depression. Really, like the thoughts that were there had the tendency to go really quickly to negative and to self, how you say that, putting myself down and others down, and blackening everything.
It's not a positive energy that it gives.
Not at all.
And then we're especially talking about the refined sugar.
Yeah, it was just candy stuff like that,
candy.
right? And Coca-Cola or stuff like that. It's not that I was just drinking that all the time, but I was doing it regularly, and that was just. And I was still drinking coffee with sugar in those days. I mean, this is a long time ago, right? But
life.
I think I would, if I would have added it up, but I helped myself in change really with that, and that's what I noticed when I stopped. I didn't really have any. How you say it? Like when you stop something, that you get this big dip first, or your body's struggling with it. No, there was so much more clarity and space and softness. I think coming from there.
And it was not one. It was not one day that we turned it around. It took some time to really go off sugar completely, because you find out where it is in. So it's a process of time. And
but it's more the conscious, conscious, like, okay, you go to the gas station, you fill up the car, and then you grab some candy. That's not the same thing as that you're thinking that you're eating something healthy, and when you look at the packet, it's like, why is there sugar in there, right? So we went through that phase as well, and when we cut that out, also, then it started to get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that really, really helped. And for me, it also helped to cut off the meat. Yeah. It really helped for me.
Well, I think, and you mentioned another one, because if you look at what kind of food should you try to avoid, well, one for us was sugar, that was on the top, and then coffee. You mentioned coffee.
Coffee. Yeah.
I've never liked coffee, so if I had 5 cups in my entire life, that's much. But you were drinking coffee at the time.
A lot. Yeah. I think what I was looking for, unconsciously, right, was like constant. It gave me a boost, right? It gave me like, same with the sugar. That was my sort of, getting into my
feeling,
like a comfort zone or something for myself, right?
It's funny how
opened up the spirit a little bit, like, but only for a short while.
Yeah, coffee and chocolate belong to the fire element, and the fire element is connected to the heart, and both chocolate and coffee are really young, really expanding energy for the heart. And so if you're drinking or eating chocolate, it gives your heart a boost and opens it up for a little bit, and these emotion can
so it literally
flow.
Fills a gap, right? Like an emotional gap somewhere in the heart, and that I think that was totally true. So but in order to get past that, you have to investigate that. And I did, and I quit.
And also with the chocolate, well, we cut out the sugar, and so cut out the chocolate as well. Yeah. Because we ate quite a lot of chocolate in those days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think, we really made this transition.
So now with coffee, sometimes like maybe once a month I have a cup or something, and I really enjoy it. It's fine. I don't sleep that night. I mean, that's how young it is. So that's from one cup. It's crazy how much I used to drink and didn't have any problem with that. But you
don't know if you don't try to.
Right. So now it's more like I sometimes enjoy it, and now I hardly drink it because of the COVID, because there's nothing,
we don't go out as much as you cannot. Yeah. But it's funny if one of one of your students and came to me for advice on food, and he was drinking coffee a lot as well, and I said, well, you better lessen that and drink it as a treat once a month or every 2 months take 1 cup, but not regularly. And he drank like 3 a day or 4 a day, and he went back to 1 a day. And every time he's like, okay, I want to do less, but it's hard. But I said it will still have the same effect on you if you drink it every day. You still build up.
There's a continuum. Yeah. There's a chain that's just going, right?
Yeah. And so you really want to kind of look what it does to not drink it for 2 weeks.
And that's the type of guy I am, right? If I think this is going to help me and I'm aware of it, that's the crazy thing, right? It's all starts with this awareness, like, oh, that's what I'm doing, right? I'm sort of waking up to it. And I think the meditation helped for that as well. It's like, if you start observing your mind, your emotions, whatever, you also start observing your habits.
Yeah.
With more of a distance, right? It's like, hey, why am I grabbing that? Or why am I? So, but I had to stop in order to feel the real result, and I realized that, and that was the only fair way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Towards myself, honest.
It can absolutely change when you go back from like 5 cups to 1. Or from a lot of sugar to little sugar, or from a lot of chocolate to little chocolate, but you cannot feel what it does to you completely. Right. So if you go without it for a while and then try a little bit, or you already see like the real change, what it did for you.
Yeah. So I think. One thing you could try, and that maybe helps, is that, okay, you start your mindfulness practice, right? And start it do it for like, we say we have 2 weeks, right? In these 2 weeks, you start your mindfulness training at the same time every day. You just make a commitment. I'm going to sit at, 6:30 in the morning, whatever. You're going to sit. And you just eat what you normally eat. But after every training, you just journal how much was I distracted? Was it hard? How did I feel? What were the thoughts that came? All these things. Journal, but especially journal your energy, right? And do that for 2 weeks, and you have clear insight, because you can relate that back to what have I eaten the day before, and things like that. That's what I did, just like a journal.
Yeah.
An energy journal. And also it's like, how was the focus? How was that concentration there? Right? And then what you can do is then the next 2 weeks of your training, you're going to leave one of these things out that you regularly do. Right? It's like, stop with the sugar. Start there. Just commit yourself to 2 weeks no sugar and see what happens, and journal.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have you have a very honest comparison between first 2 weeks and the second 2 weeks. And that can go deeper and deeper, right?
And it gives you motivation to continue, because then you see what it does.
Well, you experience the result, because we can talk about it all day, and most people realize that it's not good for them.
No.
But it's in the experience, and but it's more like, are you committed enough for this training to allow yourself this experiment, right?
And so maybe it's good, because there's we talked about sugar, we talked about chocolate, we talked about coffee, and there's a couple more, alcohol,
of course,
which is quite hard for your body. Then there is the hot spices, which makes your energy go in all kinds of directions.
All the extremer stuff, right?
Yeah,
it's like
all
the real
extreme,
boosting stuff, or like the really cooling stuff. You want to have a...
Yeah. And then there's, and we did a podcast on that as well, meat.
Yeah, meat.
Which just try what it does to you, and see how it works.
Also, I would recommend just Don't eat it for 2 weeks and see how you feel.
And of course, and then there's the whole process, what food is good for you. But these are a couple that can help extremely to take off the edges a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's all the process of, okay, where I come from is the 5-element food. And then you see where are my disbalances and what food should I eat and what food should I not eat. Well, that's a very personal journey that you go through.
Yeah.
I think that's beyond this, but these are really pointers where you can go.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing, and that's the process around food. When do you eat? So a lot of meditating is early morning before eating, and there is more, mental space.
Yeah, because it's not, the energy doesn't go to your digestion, right?
Exactly.
So, and that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring it down to really simple terms, like the result of good meditation, right, is that your mind expands. It's away from thoughts. It's not in that place. It's not in the place of the emotions. It's out there, right? It's connected in the now. And what does digestion do? Well, it's a moment of like the blood goes to your stomach, goes there. So this contracting, and it makes a little bit tired. So early in the morning practice is really good. Yeah.
And what helped me a lot is to say, okay, I would still eat something at nighttime, or not nighttime, but at around 6 p.m. And then after that, stop eating. Because, we had the habit of snacking sometimes during the evening. Yeah. And that made a great impact on my energy level, especially the next morning. Because I think you go to sleep, your digestion kind of stops, and it continues in the morning, and it just takes away the energy that you want for your practice.
Yeah. So that's one to consider as well, right? Yeah. I mean, that's also a thing you have to experiment with. Yeah. We cannot say like, okay, fasting for this, or you fast like this. I think it's really personal. Yeah. Plus, I think take small steps in the beginning. Leave one thing out that you know, well, okay, it's like the sugar or like the meat, and experiment with it. And then you can say like, okay, I'm making sure that I do my meditation before I eat. And how do I feel? Yeah. And then you can take that further. But it's a journey, right?
It's absolutely a journey. It's not something you can fix in a week and then you're set to go.
No way.
I think we started this journey, what is it? How long
15 years.
Married? 16 years.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I think it started around that time.
Yeah.
And we're still working on it.
We're
today.
Still fine-tuning. Yeah. You know, you live, you learn, and but you have to experiment with it. Yeah. You know, and so make a journal. Make sure that you're aware of these things. I think in other podcasts we can go deeper into the meditation process, you know, and things like that. But for now, it's just make sure that your lifestyle is adjusted, all these things. Yeah. And I think if you start with food, you're also going into the lifestyle, right? Yeah. So it's like this wheel, this energy wheel. Yeah. It's like if you start there with the food, it's going to affect your sleep. Your sleep's going to affect your energy, of course, right? And the quality, and it's going to help your meditation. Yeah. That helps your motivation. That helps your meditation.
It all adds up. It adds up. Yeah, and it will help you extremely. So,
so this is the shortcut number 1.
Yeah.
Because if your lifestyle is not supporting your training, I mean, it's hard, and a lot of people give up. You know?
Yeah. And it's something where we're not been brought up with the effects of food on you.
Exactly the opposite, really.
Yeah. So try it out. I'm really curious how things going. So
hope this helps.
Yeah. And if you like it, like and subscribe, and see you next time.
Absolutely. Okay. Bye, people.